While large cities and metropolitan city regions are seen as major places of a society based on knowledge, innovation and creativity, a large proportion of the population in many European countries lives in small urban settlements. For many reasons, the challenges faced by small towns remain underexplored. The International Working Group of the ARL, Small Towns and Metropolitan Cores Towards Cooperation, a European Perspective, therefore aims to further enhance a common European debate on the future of small towns. Their objective is to analyse how small European towns, in all their diversity, face metropolitan development and associated challenges. Voices and thoughts of working group members from different European countries were captured in this video. With their transnational and interdisciplinary approach, they provide insights into the importance of small towns for the development of metropolitan regions across Europe.
Small towns in metropolitan regions are small urban settlements, 5,000 inhabitants for instance, or up to 20,000, 25,000, and they offer daily services to the population like the school, medical services, shops, etc., etc. But since they are close to a big city, the question is what is the advantage of this special proximity? Is there any advantage, or are they going to live in the shadow of the metropolitan city? That's the focus of our working group.
I think there are many different types of small towns, and it depends partly on where they are located, as a former speaker said. If you have a small town nearby a large city, it gives a different position than those in the vicinity of civilization. So a lot of the changes that happened around the big cities are related to settlement, especially of younger families. And I think because of the quality of life you find in smaller units, it's easy to get into contact with the labor market and services of the big city, but you're still in a proximity to many of the daily facilities you need, like kindergarten, schools, shopping, etc. And you have the benefit of being close to people you know, and there's often a very strong community. And this is very attractive for many families. For young people, I think it's a terrible place to be because nothing happened in their opinion, so they leave, and in return some elderly will replace them. But again, it's a choice people have for the environmental qualities.
So in Germany, about a third of the population actually lives in small towns. And if we are really serious about things like tackling the climate crisis, implementing a more sustainable way of doing urban development, regional planning, transitions in ways of life, mobility, and so on, then I think we really have to broaden our understanding of small towns, metropolitan cores, and how they interact, the complex interplay between those two. And discussing this with my colleagues at the European level is one way of doing that.
Small towns play a very important role in Poland. We have more than 700 small towns, and I am here because we observe that a lot of similarities but also diversities between the towns in European countries. So similarities are connected with the functions of small towns, relation with the metropolitan territories, but there are a lot of differences also. I mean the definition of what doesn't mean small towns, and about the history, a culture of small towns in different countries. So the small towns is very interesting topic of research.
Small towns have received relatively little attention in England, and the focus was in the policy agenda, and the focus was very much on core cities, which were seen as drivers of the economy. With regards to small towns, there are two real problems in England, and one is that we have very large local authorities, the government, which comprises of a lot of small towns, so they remain politically underrepresented and quite visible. And that related to that the second point is that it also translates into the availability of data, so it's really challenging to research cities at a scale of the whole country because there's no data available on small towns.
So small towns have not only been under-researched, but the research that addresses small towns actually has a lot of normative assumptions and biases. So when researchers talk about small towns, they oftentimes downgrade them as these places that fail to be urban, or just talk about them as these hinterland zones that provide resources to larger cities and metropolitan cores. So I think our responsibility as scholars, when we talk about small towns, to be very careful of how we write about them, what terms do we use, because these words actually matter for the people who live in small towns, because research is often converted into policy-making documents, and they have the power to affect lives of real people.
So over the last years, people have found that it's very nice to live in smaller settlements where they can enjoy different lifestyles, more ecological, more sustainable, and at the same time engage with all the availabilities and possibilities important metropolitan cores offer. So small towns, I think, at least in Portugal, we are observing a big revival, lots of transformations and improvements as well, and welcome to small towns. They are a very nice place to live.
We would like to thank the members of the working group for their contribution and look forward to more exciting findings and results that will further promote the important exchange of knowledge on a European level on the topic of small towns. If you want to stay informed about current activities of the working group, visit the group's website on the ARL's knowledge and communication platform, arl-international.com.